ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم يغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله جل في العلا وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. As we completed the chapter in regards of all or the type of worship of Allah Ta'ala, which is from the tafsir of the meaning of La ilaha illallah, and like we talked about, in which a lot of the Muslims. You okay? The book. Okay. As we talked about, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, actually we forgot to mention the date. Today is Friday, August the 17th. Today on the Hijri calendar is considered the 4th of the Hijjah. On the Islamic calendar, which coincides or correlates with the Gregorian calendar, August the 17th, Friday. Right, it's the 5th of the Hijjah. Sorry, everyone. The 5th of the Hijjah, 1439 after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wassalam. We were speaking about, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, in this book, Kitaab At-Tawheed, where we were giving the tafsir of La ilaha illallah. As the meaning of La ilaha illallah contains numerous meanings of what is incumbent upon the servant to single out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in certain affairs and in certain aspects of worship. Whereas if it's given to other than Allah, as we know, then it would be considered shirk or polytheism, whereas it will render one's Islam invalid, and he will meet Allah Ta'ala upon the most vilified and the most disgraceful sin that any human being could commit, which is a state which is the most uglified and horrific and most embarrassing state that any human being can meet his Lord with, which is meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon polytheism. That is worse than homosexuality. That is worse than murder, theft, stealing. As you'll find that a lot of the new wave of fitna that is propagated amongst a lot of our communities is that all these people, they believe in themselves is children being abused, and they'll say people are being murdered and people are doing drugs, and all y'all want to do is busy yourselves with usul al-thalatha. That's what they say. All y'all want to do is busy yourselves with Tawheed. And like we just said, this is the type of propaganda and this is the type of statement which is behind it a deception to basically condemn as if one is teaching monotheism, that affair is not going to rectify anything. Like you said, these children or those broken down families going on, all you worry about is usul al-thalatha. Not realizing usul al-thalatha, the whole meaning of why the book usul al-thalatha was authored is to prepare you for death. So when the angels come in your grave and they ask you the questions, you'll be ready. Because the hereafter in comparison to this world is nothing to what's coming. So that's the reason why we teach the people the affairs of monotheism in preparation for death. while you busy yourselves, and I'm not talking to everyone in this room, I'm talking to what they're saying, but to those people. While you busy the people with trying to rectify their dunya, we're busy in the people trying to rectify their hereafter. And rather the hereafter, all of these affairs on which we're learning in this class is all preparation to what will one enters inside the new life, when he starts, once he's put under that dirt. So everything that he learns in the Usul al-Thalatha now comes to light. It comes to light now when he's put under that dirt, where piles of dirt are accumulated on top of your body. You stuck in your body, it's stuck in the crevices and a niche under the dirt. Then that's when Usul al-Thalatha takes place. Because that's when the reality kicks in. So don't be fooled by this propaganda, the nonsense that people try to rave and they ramble, especially how people are easy to follow trends on social media. Because social media now, a lot of people don't even read it anymore. They just follow trends based upon what satisfies or gratifies their emotion or caters to their emotions. For verily, like we said, studying these books is going to not only rectify the ones hereafter, and even we know Usul al-Thalatha is going to rectify the people's worldly affairs likewise. Why? Because in actuality, Ma'ashal Ikhwa, Usul al-Thalatha, you're not making ta'in or criticizing Usul al-Thalatha. You have to realize when you criticize Usul al-Thalatha, you're actually criticizing the da'wah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's not Usul al-Thalatha you're criticizing. You're criticizing and say there's some discrepancy in Muhammad when he came with the correct revelation, the haqq, there's some discrepancy in that. Because all we're following is the same methodology of how the prophets gave da'wah. That's it. That's what Ahlul Sunnah was Salafiyyin, that's what we do. We're trying to actualize what the people need in order to rectify themselves in this world in preparation for the hereafter. Because like we said, this world is nothing. If we want us to die right now, in this given moment, everything that he's learning in this book or is learning in these books will come to light. So that's the reason why we busy the people with this, because soon as you die, all of the affairs of asking the questions about Tawheed al-Rububiyyah wa Uluhiyyah wa Asma wa Sifat all will start. As soon as you enter the grave. The first question the angels are asking when you're under the dirt, who's your Lord? Which category is that, everyone? Rububiyyah. Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. And if you answer the word Allah, Allah is which category, everyone? Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. Tawheed al-Ibadah. First question, as soon as you ask in the grave, as soon as you put under the dirt, who's your Lord? Rububiyyah. Allah. Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. First thing Allah Ta'ala is not going to ask the slave about as soon as he dies, were you black? Or the angels are going to ask you, were you black in this dunya? Were you white in this dunya? Did you have a long beard? Did you have a short beard? Were you fat? Were you skinny? Were you tall? Were you light-eyed? Do you have curly hair? Do you have coarse hair? Did you have long hair? Do you have short hair? Do you have big feet? What ethnicity were you from? What background were you from? Was you from the hood? Was you rich? Was you poor in this dunya? Was you from Africa? Was you from Asia? Was you from Chinese? Was you from China? Was you from the ghetto? Did you come up in the hardcore bricks in the hood? The angel's not going to ask you none of that. It's irrelevant. Angel will ask you one question. Who's your Lord? That's it. Who's your prophet? What's your religion? And those three questions are all connected with Usul al-Thalatha. That's the reason why Ahlul Sunnah busy the people with these books, because those are the books that's going to prepare them for death. And once that foundation is laid down and solidified within the people, then we can build upon that all the other branches of the religion. That's when fiqh will fall into place. That's when we can start teaching people tafsir, hadith, usul al-fiqh. All these other sciences will come after that. But if the people learn all these different sciences and the foundation is not laid down properly, they're always going to have discrepancy in the rest of the sciences. Trust me. All because all the sciences of the religion all tie in back to Aqidah. There's no getting around it. Whether it's in hadith, whether it's in tafsir, whether it's in usul al-fiqh, no matter what it is, it's all going to have a direct correlation and connection with Aqidah. Ultimately. There's no getting around it. Majority of the Muslims now, if you used to go to their masajid and have conversations with them, and you listen to their speech and the different things that they say, you'll find that there's a discrepancy in their fundamentals. Fundamentally, there's a discrepancy in their belief system. Yeah, I know the Messenger of Allah said this, but you got to realize, Yahi, jazz is part of our culture. When someone makes a statement like that, I know Allah made music haram. Yeah, whatever you're saying is good. And they're Muslim. They say, La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Then you say, Akhi, Allah said that music is unlawful. Based upon the tafsir, based upon the statement of the Sahaba who learned it and heard it from the Messenger of Allah, and the one who could give the proper meaning of the ayah is the companion because he heard it from the Messenger of Allah, to the end of it. You know what they'll say? Yeah, Akhi, I know that all sounds good, but you got to realize we're in 2018, and you got to realize that's not part of our culture. Our culture is African Americans that we put music and we love music. This is part of our culture. You can keep living in the dinosaur bone age with everyone else while we enjoy life. So when a person makes that statement, what does that necessitate? There is some discrepancy in their fundamentals. They don't know ABC yet. And the majority of the Muslims, this is their state. A lot of them. You ask the majority of the Muslims in those majority of those masajid that are upon deviance, what's the conditions of La ilaha illallah? Give them to me right now. They might even go to the point and say, what's the conditions of La ilaha illallah? SubhanAllah, you've been Muslim for 20 years, you don't even know the conditions of La ilaha illallah? It's like you're talking to a no shahada. No wonder why you say the things that you say out of your mouth. You've been Muslim 30 years. You don't know the conditions of La ilaha illallah. The foundation of what makes you a Muslim. You still don't know that yet? You don't know the beginning yet? You don't know it? No, what's that? What's the meaning of Muhammad Rasulullah? What's the meaning? He's the messenger of Allah. You just translated it, but what's the meaning of it? What does it necessitate? Go back to the definition of Usul al-Thalatha. طاعته فيما أمر وتصديقه فيما أخبر واجتناب ما نهى عنه الزجر وأن لا يعبد الله إلا بما شرع. The meaning of Muhammad Rasulullah, obeying him what he commanded, staying away from what he prohibited. طاعته فيما أمر وتصديقه فيما أخبر, to totally believe without any reluctancy of what he's informed, of the past, the future, and what's going to happen, and even on the day of resurrection. All from the affairs of the unseen, believe in what he informed, if it's been authentically reported. And to abstain from what he prohibited, and to totally restrain from it. And not to worship Allah or draw close to Allah except by what he legislated. You ask majority of those masajid, go to those masajid and ask them that question, they will probably look at you and be able to give that answer. And then you wonder why they're upon in the state that they're in now. They didn't forgetting with the fundamentals, the ABCs. You starting the people off with calculus and geometry and all these other affairs, and the people don't know even ABC 1, 2, 3 yet. They didn't even get that down yet. So that's the reason why, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, do not be beguiled or fooled and tricked by the propaganda and the waves of what social media gives of influence of the people. Because like we said, we live in days and times, people only follows trends of what appears to be good. Not knowing and realizing of what is behind it of deception. But sounding and putting your ear to every type of so-called outwardly or what sounds appealing is something that's dangerous upon your religion. And keep in mind the statement of Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah, that your ears and your eyes are all passageways to your heart. What you put your ear to and what you put your eyes to is all going to have a direct effect upon the heart. Whether it's poison or whether it's what, or something correct. It's all going to go, what you put your ear to here, is all going to go here. What you put your eyes to there is all going to go here. Either it's going to poison it or it's going to nurture it. One of the two. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. So now as we start in these new ayat in the book of Allah, that's the reason why I have to start, because like I said, I've seen certain things, even on the internet, it's like subhanAllah, still people are making war with these books. Usul al-Thalatha. Our people are being killed left and right. And all you guys want to worry about is Usul al-Thalatha. All you guys want to worry about is Tawheed. Yahi, during the time of the Message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everything that's going on in our societies was the same exact thing going on in the society of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was sent as a messenger. No more, no less. There was prostitution, there was killing, there was murder, there was stealing, there was theft, there wasn't any safety in the roads. Caravans were being stuck up in the road. There was prostitution, people becoming intoxicated. And the worst of all that, with the Messenger of Allah, even though there was wars, racism, tribal wars, people killing each other because they were from another tribe, and that tribe didn't like that tribe, and a war broke out between them. Just like similar to here in our society. So-and-so's from 5th Street, he's from 11th Street, that block don't like them. You're on my turf, you're on my what? You're on my premises, I'm going to kill you as a result of it. Same nonsense. Just a different type of what? Just a somewhat different as far as the time and the place, but it's the same concept. Same thing that was taking place during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and what happened was it was all eradicated. The Messenger of Allah erased all of it. Why did he started off with the head of all problems, which was what? Polytheism, because that was the root of what was causing all the other influences and all the other social ills that was branching off from it, because people had no knowledge of who Allah was. And once they gained knowledge of that and they eradicated, he tied their hearts in with it, then all the other social ills became demolished, eradicated, done. There was people that was taking their babies and throwing them in garbage cans. There's people that was throwing them away during the same thing that took place in society was taking place during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. People would take their babies and kill them out of fear of poverty. Some people would have daughters, they would kill their own daughters. In some narrations it said they would bury them alive. That's not social ills? That's not social ills and social problems in society? And that all took place during the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And all of it became eradicated. Why? Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew what was the most head of all the evils that he had to start with. Start with that problem. It's like you cut the snake off from the head, then the rest of the body of what is evil is going to be what? Is going to be killed. And that's what Allah had instructed him. And that's the same thing that we're trying to do with the society, with the people. However, the people don't want that. No, you got to realize there's killing and murder going on in our streets right now. We're trying to give you the remedy. The people don't want that. You're trying to seek a remedy in another type of call or another methodology. And you see that none of it is working. I don't care if it's the Nation of Islam, even the Christian churches are not working. They're not working for society. They're not. Rather, you see I've never seen society so divided and so in a situation that we see it in now, more than I'm seeing at the times of progressing, how it's becoming worse and worse. We'll let you know that none of these calls work. None of them are working. People are still being incarcerated, locked up. Children are still being abused. People don't know their fathers. They're still arguing. There's chaos in the households with the families. To the end of it, it's not working. So now when we come with a call that's correct, why don't you try it since none of these other calls are not working? They're not working for society. So now we come with this call. Now the people just have to embrace it. And for lack of better words, as they say, trust the process or something like that. Now you have to put your trust in Allah for Tawheed and monotheism. And believe that the process is going to take some time, but eventually you're going to start to see a difference. Nothing is going to be an overnight removal instantly of problems as soon as in which people want. They want instant gratification. We want all the problems removed overnight. Nothing is going to take, the problems in society is not going to be removed overnight. I don't care what you come with. Us as the Tulab al-Ilm, we come with the correct call. We try to uproot the problem from where it starts from and where it emanates from. And at the same time, we also try to bring other types of alternatives to try to give remedies to society. At the same time, from those things is such as we try to have marriage and divorce classes. And there's other ideas that I have in my mind. The only problem is we don't have the manpower. There's a lot of ideas that I have in order to help our children, help our brothers, help our sisters, help in a lot of ways, our marriages, our social problems with our divorce, and everything. But if it's only one person and one imam for every masjid, and there's not a lot of people who's qualified, what can we do? If it's not a lot of man work. So we're trying to now have children. For example, we're trying to have children. We're trying to have now classes for sisters to teach them how to be ladies, to teach them how to be women. A lot of our women do not know how to be women. They don't. Just like a lot of our brothers don't know how to be men. They don't. You find that a lot of men carry a lot of female qualities within themselves. I see it every day. I see it every day. Men think it's a man quality, and you not realizing that that's a woman, that's a female quality. You don't realize that? That's a female quality. To be emotional and hollering, screaming, oh, man, who you think you talking to? Like, that's a female quality. That's not a man quality. Even though you think it's tough for a person, oh, man, don't you know who I am? All that emotions that's not a manly quality or trait to act like that. That's not. But that's how you were brought up. You have to realize that's wrong. Now you have to change it. So now these type of social ills and conduct behavior, we want to try to now what? Give an alternative to cure it. Right? Whereas we're trying to uproot the evil from its source, but at the same time, we are combating the other social ills that's taking place at the same time. However, we don't have the manpower. We have all these women and all these brothers that have and all these different problems in society. But the fact that we don't have the manpower is the reason why we can't deal with it head on at the same time. But however, we're doing the focus, which is uprooting where all these evils are stemming from, which is in these books of Kitaab At-Tawheed. So since I cannot now entertain, which I do to the best of my ability because I've had numerous marriage cases and divorce cases, to let you know that I'm doing the best that we do the best that we can to try to cure social ills and the problems within our houses at the same time. But at the same time, we are uprooting the problem where it's coming from ultimately. So we're trying to do both at the same time. But you cannot condemn Ahlul Sunnah and the Salafis to say, well, you're not hitting the problems head on, the social ills of society. I said, Akhi, I'm only one person, two people. Two people. How can I destroy all the social ills of the society? So the only thing that's left for us as a tulab al-ilm is to just focus on where the problem is stemming from, which is shirk and kufr. But as far as the other affairs, we do the best we can. That's the reason why we sit and try to have marital counseling. And this is something else of another idea that I have. There's a lot of ideas I have, and the students of Naj have, but we don't have the manpower. We want to have classes where we could just sit and teach men how to be men. We want to have classes just to sit and teach women how to be women. How to be gentle, how to be kind, how to be clean, how to know how to have a repertoire and carry themselves as a lady. Because a lot of women weren't taught because of the social ills in society and the pathetic kufr and state that they were in and the houses and the backgrounds that they came from. And I'm sure that every brother in this room that can vouch for what I'm saying, that they have all came across women that had qualities where you can tell that they were not nurtured correctly. They were not raised properly. And they have a lot of problems, mental issues. Or they think what they're doing is right. And they have to be taught that, sister, that's not a female quality. Sister, you can't walk around the house like that. Sister, you have to do certain things that women do and that's prissy and ladies. And you talk to them, they really truly don't know. They never were taught. All those things we're trying to what? We're trying to attend to and care for. But if we don't have the manpower, so what can we do? What's not in our ability? But at the same time, we cannot alleviate and not pay attention to where the problems are coming from, to why these societies and these houses are the way they are now. Because all of it was stemming from kufr and shirk, in which that's what we're making war with every day. The students of knowledge, especially those who are trying to focus on this affair. Because this is where the problem stems from. Because when the message of Allah came with this message, he looked at the problem, he destroyed it, and like we said, and that's when the society started going for a change. And I've seen this happen in my own life, the effects of Tawheed upon the society of the people. When I was in Southwest Philadelphia and I started this matter for 3 or 4 years, I was just focusing on this, majority of what I was focusing on. Wallahi, I seen a change in a better, and you seen the direction of the community start going different. You started seeing it. Not because of me. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with the da'wah of the prophets and the anbiya. That da'wah is going to rectify the societies and the people. And I started seeing it. I started seeing it with my own eyes. The society was changing until Shaitan got me out of there. That's the thing. Like every message where I come with Tawheed, the Shaitan comes and say, "Let me start some fitna in that area so I can get you out of here." I don't be surprised he's doing it to me here now. Put something in some brother's heads or something to make you not like him to get him out of here. Shaitan don't want no Tawheed anywhere. Start some fitna up. We got to get you out of here. We want the society to keep going in the good direction it's going, to black and darkness and more dark upon darkness and upon more darkness. That's what Shaitan wants. Doesn't want no light of Tawheed. He wants shirk, kufr, people stay raw, wild, rambunctious, loud, and whatever. So that's the reason why, I'm making this the focus so it could be have an effect and an influence on the people, and you see the impact of it. I've seen it with my own eyes. No matter where you go, if you come with this message of monotheism, Tawheed, and you give dawah exactly how Muhammad gave it, you are going to see a change in the people. If it's not today, eventually you will see it. If you keep knocking on the door with Allah Ta'ala, having ikhlas and being genuine, eventually Allah is going to open the door tawfiq for you. Eventually. You just have to be patient. But at the same time, we're not ignoring the social ills that's going on around us. The reason why we can't tend to it is because of the manpower. We don't have it. It's sad, but the Salafis, we don't have a lot of manpower. We don't. So I'm saying here, ma'ash al-ikhwa, going back to the book, the shurut of La ilaha illallah, I wish I'm making another day. Alhamdulillah, we can incorporate that in the lesson as it comes. For the tafsir of La ilaha illallah, in which we just concluded from the meaning of La ilaha illallah, which means from the huquq, or the rights of Allah, which was obligatory for one to unify Allah in, is pertaining to al-isti'adha, which we completed. A worship which is called al-isti'adha, which is seeking refuge, or seeking protection. All the abwab, or all the different chapters, keep in mind, all the chapters we're going to cover, even in the different affairs of worship, where it's obligatory to unify Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, in that worship, you are going to notice in the majority of those affairs of worship that there is an affair that's connected with the what? With the creation, which is permissible, which we talked about last class. For example, you have the fear of worship, right, everyone? And then you have the natural fear. Is it clear what I'm saying? So you have khawf al-tabi'i or al-khawf al-tabi'i. Then you have al-khawf al-sirri, يعني الذي فيه تأله. You have the type of fear, for example, as we know from the affairs of worship that's obligatory, rather it's from the rights of Allah and the meaning of La ilaha illallah. For example, fear. A fear of Allah's punishment, the fear of His wrath, the fear of His punishment coming down, descending, or His anger, descending upon a human being or descending upon a person specifically. That is all those affairs that has in it meaning of worship. Similar to what we discussed in the last class, likewise, is al-isti'adha. As we said in the last class, we just completed this chapter, which is called seeking refuge. As we know, al-isti'adha of that affair of worship is only for Allah, and it's from the huquq, the rights of Allah only. As far as the isti'adha of worship, right, everyone? Then we noticed we started branching off and started talking about what, everyone? The isti'adha that's permissible in regards to the creation with certain conditions. But it's not worship. It's just seeking protection or refuge from something of an occurrence that might have took place where it caused one to want to go to an individual and to seek his protection or ask for his protection or seek his refuge. That type of refuge is different. There's nothing to do with ibadah, right, everyone? However, even in the affairs of what is permissible, or what's in the boundaries of what has been legislated, one still, as we talked about, has to look at the creation as it's just mere what? Mere means, the sabab, as we said. Keep this in mind. And all these different chapters we're going to cover. That when you ask the person for mere protection, for example, a lion is chasing you, or a dog is chasing you, whatever, or a ferocious lion that might want to harm you or attack you, you knock on somebody's door and you ask them, can you give me protection? The i'tiqad of a person whose tawheed was monotheism and is its proper place is that you look to the creation as just a mere sabab, a means, where your heart is not connected with the what? With the means. It's not connected with it. But however, you look to it as the mere means of how Allah gave you protection through the creation, whereas your heart is not connected with it. You'll find that the origin of monotheism is to have the heart tied in with Allah ultimately in all the affairs of worship, even in regards to that which is permissible. And in this chapter, which we're going to discuss, which is from the greatest chapters in Kitaab At-Tawheed, which is called the chapter of Istighatha. Istighatha is from the most greatest chapters in Kitaab At-Tawheed, in which a lot of the Muslims all over the world have mixed up what is al-Istighatha and who is it done for and what is the meaning of it. Similar to what I just mentioned just now, applies to what we're going to mention here in this chapter. Istighatha. And we're going to go talk about the meanings, and there's a permissible meaning of what is pertaining to the creation likewise. All those chapters in which we're going to cover is going to be similar. And what we're going to cover until all the way up to a couple of other chapters, which is going to come inshallah. But anyway, as far as even, for example, of another aspect of worship, I'm just giving examples. As far as in the aspect of what they call al-isti'ana, seeking help. Isti'ana, which we'll talk about inshallah, the isti'ana of seeking worship, of what they call seeking help or aid, of worship is only for Allah. All these conditions, I want everyone to keep in mind three things. Keep it in your mind, memorize it. In regards to these affairs of worship, three words: Hadir, Qadir, Hay. That's it. That in order to now seek aid or help from someone, they have to be present, meaning alive. They can't be dead, in front of you. Present, alive, and able to do it. Those are three things. For example, what goes against that is what the people from the sect called a Sufiya. What they do during the time, it was taking place right now in Mecca, which is in Hajj, which the people are going to go to Mina on the 8th day of Dhul Hijjah. On the 8th day of Dhul Hijjah, everybody's going to Mina. You have people who's upon what they call the ways of mysticism, which is called Sufiya. You'll find that their followers come on Arafah and they make dua like this, and they raise their hand from people who might have came from Hind or from India or from Pakistan. And they arrived in Saudi Arabia in Mecca. And they stand on Arafat and say, "Oh Sheikh so-and-so, Sheikh al-Tariqah, hear us. We have arrived here by your barakah. And inshallah we will be returning. Answer our dua and our supplication that you save us and allow us to come back home safely." What did this person just do? He just went against polytheism, of course. Why? Because it went against with these three things. First of all, he's not there. He's not present. He might be alive too, but he's not able. He's not able to answer your dua. This type is what a lot of the Muslims fall into based upon their discrepancy in their belief system and in their fundamentals. Likewise, all the time, we go back to fundamentals. And their fundamentals, and the one who calls out, then this is the shirk in which not even the mushrikeen during the time of the Prophet ﷺ believed. The polytheism of the Quraysh during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they only thought that the deities and the idols in which they were invoking only drew them close to Allah. That's it. They only took them between them and Allah as mediators and intercessors. That was the polytheism of Quraysh. But they did not believe that those idols, or what they had believed, or what they were drawing close to, had all knowledge, or all aware, and all awareness like Allah. Or, for example, that all the knowledgeable are having complete knowledge or complete awareness like Allah. So the mushrikeen during the time of the Prophet ﷺ did not have this type of belief. And this type of polytheism, of which you'll find that even Muslims that say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah are falling into affairs that's even worse than the mushrikeen during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, because of their misunderstanding of monotheism, in which they're calling on their sheikh from Medina. "Oh, so-and-so sheikh, we have arrived by your barakah. Hear us. Return us back to our cities and to our homes safely." This type, like we said, is the type of shirk was worse than the what? Than the mushrikeen during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, in this aspect specifically. I'm not talking about the rest of the aspects of the religion, but in this aspect, this type of polytheism is something that's unprecedented. And that's the reason why, like we said, we are studying these affairs. So you can know that this is from the shirk that is unprecedented to the point where the Kuffar Quraysh did not fall into. So notice in those three words, like I said, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, Hadir, Qadir, Hay. Present, alive, of course, and able. If you come to someone and you say, for example, oh Sheikh so-and-so, by your mercy, forgive me of my sins. Hear me, even though I'm in another country. Hear me and forgive me. And save me from the detrimental affairs that's taking place in my life. Huh? Oh Sheikh so-and-so, by your barakah, make it rain today. Huh? What is that? Polytheism. Why? Because of these three conditions? Huh? Not there, he's not present. And you also given him characteristics like characteristics of Allah, which is another type of resemblance, which is tashbih. Rather, it's the worst form of tashbih, which we'll talk about inshallah. Resemblance breaks down to two types, as Ibn al-Qayyim mentions. Resemblance. And I talked about this before. You have the two types of resemblance, which is the most evil of resemblance of what the creation fall into these days. You have resemblance of Allah with the creation. You have resemblance of the creation with Allah. What's the difference? Even though they're both considered resemblance. Resembling Allah with the creation and resembling the creation with Allah. Resembling Allah with the creation is like the deviant sects who fall into deviance as far as saying His characteristics are like the characteristics of the human being. As Ibn al-Qayyim mentions. Like for example, في الإلحاد في باب الأسماء والصفات. Of deviation in names and attributes of Allah. Saying Allah's hand is like my hand, Allah's face is like my face, Allah, the fingers are like my fingers, His hand is like my hand. That is resembling Allah with the creation. Which is in the affair of what we know the third category, Tawheed, which is what everyone? Al-Asma wa Sifat. The opposite of resembling the creation with Allah, resembling the creation with Allah, is what the majority of the people, which is more prevalent of what happens within the creation, and is أكثر وقوعا من الأول, and it happens more than the first category, which is similar to how the creation resembles Allah with resembles the creation with Allah of resembling the affairs of being all hearing, all seeing, all knowledgeable, all aware, answering your supplication, hoping for their mercy, fearing their punishment. All these affairs is similar to what the Christians do. The Christians say, Jesus, we call on you, forgive us of our sins. This is a type of resemblance where you resemble the creation with Allah, where you gave a characteristic of Allah to the creation, or gave the characteristic of the human being to Allah, in which, as a result of it, where they fell into deviation, and not only deviation as the Christians went through, to the point where they even found disbelief and polytheism. And similar to that of what happens with the Muslims these days, likewise. When you find that the Muslims that they call on, Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, or so-and-so al-Badawi, or Hussein, or Ali ibn Abi Talib, or calling on any from those from the righteous, saying, hear me, forgive me my sins, make my life a better life than I've been facing, of these different detrimental things and these trials I've been going through in my life. Change my life in a different direction. If you make this dua, right here, then you have resembled the creation with Allah, which in this aspect is a form of, if not, the worst form of tashbih, of resemblance, which is polytheism. And every person who's a mushrik or a paganist or a person upon idolatry, all have their portion of this type of what? Of this type of resemblance. All of them, without any exception. Even if you look to the Hindu type of belief, I believe in Krishna, what they call Krishna or Krishna, or all these different types of things. All the different types of powers that they say they can conduct in this existence or change your life or affect it is similar to what? Resembling them to Allah, which is polytheism. For what we're talking about now is what they call al-istighatha, which is another type of worship, in which these three conditions we're going to apply here in this chapter. Don't worry, it's going to come. Istighatha, if you notice in your chapter, if you read it, open your books. What does the title say? أسباب من الشرك أن يستغيث بغير الله أو يدعو غيره. The chapter from polytheism is to seek or perform what they call another affair of worship, which is from the tafsir of La ilaha illallah. For the meaning of tafsir of La ilaha illallah is unifying Allah, an affair called istighatha. What is istighatha? Istighatha is what they call talab al-ghawth fi halat al-shiddah. The meaning of istighatha is to seek relief in a time of adversity. Seeking relief in a time of adversity. Notice that if in the title, what does it say, everyone? From polytheism. Is istighatha in other than Allah or to invoke other than Allah? What are the two connected? How are they connected, everyone, if you look at your books? How are they connected? How are they connected? Notice that the great Imam that he put in this chapter from polytheism is to seek, perform istighatha or seek that ghawth, that relief. Or invoke other than Allah. He tied it in together. That's what they call Bab al-Atf al-Am al-Khas. Whereas he mentions something general at the end of his statement, referring back to something specific. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that istighatha, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, is a type of supplication. It's a type of dua. It's a type of dua. So istighatha, or seeking that relief, is a type of supplication. It's a type of dua. So notice in the chapter he started off with something exclusive, and at the end of the statement he ended it off with something more general. Istighatha is dua al-makrub. It's a supplication or the invocation of the one who's in a state of anguishment. He's in a state of dire need. He's in a state of dire need of relief, where he's lost all hope, even to the point where it's a life-threatening situation, where it could be even life-threatening, where he has lost all hope of what? Of who to turn to or what to turn to. And in the state of matters that could take place, like we said, that has in it either life or death threatening. So istighatha ya ma'ash al-ikhwa is seeking relief in a time of halat al-shiddah, in a state of adversity and anguishment. Something that's very dire or very life-threatening that's about to take place, that's going to threaten your life. And other than that. So basically, if you want to sum up, istighatha is what they call dua al-makrub. It's the supplication of a one who's in a state of anguishment, in a state of also adversity, severe adversity. So that's the meaning of istighatha. So istighatha is only in a state of adversity and anguishment, whereas dua can be in a state of what? Of adversity, and it can be in a state of what? Of relief. Both. So it's more general. So between them is affairs that are specific and affairs that are what? General. Every istighatha is dua, but not every dua is istighatha. Every istighatha, every type of istighatha is dua. But not every dua is istighatha. What do I mean by that? Istighatha, like we said, is a type of dua. It's specific. It's khas. It's a type of dua. Oh Allah, save us, we're about to die. The plane is crashing. These waves are raising us high in this ocean. We're about to die. Oh Allah, save us, please. Situation where it's what? Detrimental, life-threatening. State of anguishment, life, Every istighatha, no. Istighatha is a type of dua. It's a type of dua. Every dua, istighatha is a type of dua. But the film is finished. Every istighatha is dua, but not every dua is what? Istighatha. Why? Why I say that? Dua can be in a state of distress, anguishment, the state where a person is about to die or what have you. You could do. A person performs dua when he's in a state where he's relieved. He's in a state where he's not stressed out. He's not in a state where he's distressed. Or he's in a state where his life is about to die. Make dua for his brother. Does it mean he's about to die? So dua could be in a state where a person is in severe anguishment. He's in a state where he's facing a lot of stress. And it could be in a state where he's what? In a state where he's relieved. So every istighatha is dua, but not every dua is istighatha. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Is it clear or is it not clear? Is the time already to call the... Wow. Well, I guess it's time to break fast now. Everyone who's fasting. I wanted to talk about Sifatun Kashifa. We'll do it Sunday. I mean, like we said, the istighatha is a time of adversity. Adversity is taking place in your life at that particular moment. It's just a state of adversity. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. We'll stop here because I know everyone wants to probably break their fast. I want to break my fast too. I'm thirsty. Huh? Distress. Really? أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. Please, brothers, remind me to make wudu. So remind me, I forget. I'll forget. Oh, la quwwata illa billah. الله أكبر الله أكبر. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمد وسيد الفضيلة وبعث مقام أحمد. I'll take one. Any questions about the lesson before we stop, brothers? Any question? Brothers, any questions about the lesson? Any questions about the lesson? We'll continue, like we said, istighatha next class, inshallah. Not everyone. Try to read the chapter before you come to class, too. Read it. Read the ayat in the chapter before you come to class. A lot of people don't know. If you don't have the opportunity, read the chapter before you actually attend the class. So when you're ready, all the ayats and things we explain will fall into place. But istighatha is what? A time of anguishment, distress, a life-threatening situation. That's istighatha. Like we said, dua can be in a time where it's life-threatening. It can be a time of what? Time of ease. It can be a time to make a dua for your brother. So that's what we said. Dua is more specific. It's more general. And istighatha is what, everyone? It's more specific. Is it clear what I'm saying? You clear? Okay, we'll stop here and we'll continue Sunday. This fasting affects your brain sometimes. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.